Hey, coaches, we're talking RPOs today. I've got a fantastic guest, Daniel Chamberlain, who is very connected with both Joe Daniels and Kenny Simpson. Has a lot of both of their influence. He co-hosts both their podcasts, and he's going to share his two favorite RPOs. And there's a really he's got a bubble concept that's an RPO that's different than the one I do, and I really like it. I think you're really going to like it too. Hey, coach has got a fantastic guest tonight. I'm really excited about this one. Coach Daniel Chamberlain from Oklahoma. You probably heard that name before. He is a co-host on the Joe Daniels Football Coaches podcast. He's also the co-host with Kenny Simpson on the Coaching 101 podcast. And he is going to be and he runs Chamberlain Football Consulting. We're going to talk about that a little bit, and he is going to share his two favorite hang your hat on RPOs. And brother, I appreciate you being here, and I'm excited to learn from you today.
Coach, man, I appreciate the opportunity to jump on and share some knowledge. Shoot, I'd eat up these podcasts and YouTube shows and everything else. So anytime I have a chance to give back, I've learned so much from them. I appreciate that opportunity.
Well, I appreciate you being here, and let's briefly before you get into your RPOs, let's talk about the two podcasts, and let's talk about Chamberlain Consulting, and then you can coach us up on the RPOs.
Absolutely. Two podcasts. The first one's the football coaching podcast with Joe Daniel. He's he was at it 10 years before he brought me on board, and we've been at it another 3 or 4 together. I think we're almost at 4. So that's just kind of, I used it to grow my football knowledge. I didn't know a lot. Just finished up my first season as a football coach, and I'd had to DC that year just because it was a small school. There weren't enough coaches, so I knew nothing. I learned trial by fire, and I reached out and found Joe, and man, his system works really, really well. And so, as I was learning the system, he needed a co-host on the podcast, and it just worked out that I had the setup to kind of do it. And I realized the value of that about a year later when, number one, I had a lot more answers in football on the defensive side. I also started to understand the offensive side a lot more, and I became like an analyst position my third year of coaching, was just able to help my head coach make very successful choices on the field on Friday nights throughout the year, office, whatever. So yeah, it kind of got me started down that path. And then 2 Aprils ago, I guess, Kenny Simpson and I decided to start a podcast. He had been a guest with Joe and I a few times, and of course, he sells the Gun T system. He's got, a he's got more knowledge in football than I'll ever have. So they're both just extremely um, great coaches. Very very intelligent in the game, and they teach me a ton. So I've rode their coattails and kind of learned along the way of my own stuff, and I've used it as exponential growth. So that led me to open Chamberlain Football Consulting. I just had a lot of coaches asking a lot of questions, and you gotta be mindful of your time, especially in season. You're helping people game plan, watching film, and I thought, man, if I'm going to take away from my family, I better have an excuse. And so it just allowed me to the consulting element allowed me to get a little bit of payback for that. I don't charge very much, but just something so that my wife doesn't have to yell at me about volunteering for every school in the country. And so, yeah, man, I've got a Patreon where do most of the payment stuff for that. Patreon.com/ Chamberlain Football Consulting allows me to help people if you want to make graphics, or you got to, how to run power out of a certain formation. How do you stop this offense, or installing whatever you need to install, making schedules, practice schedules. I kind of do a little bit of everything. So
So, do we need to put a link in the notes, or your email in the notes? Which is a better way to contact?
the email probably worked just fine. ChamberlainFootballConsulting@gmail.com.
Okay,
It's a
all
great
right.
way to reach out to me, and then I can push the link to other people. But yeah, man, I appreciate that. It's been a fun way to keep this career going.
Well, I do know because I've experienced a little of it, exactly what you're saying. And, just traditionally, your career, the people that mentor you and the people that you link to make such a difference down the road in your career. opening doors, not only knowledge, but relationships. And I've learned, I always tell people, that you don't make any money on YouTube, but man, the knowledge and and the relationships are worth millions. And I'm sure that's how the podcast works. And those are two big dogs. I told you, I got a good buddy who is a Joe Daniels 4-3 disciple.
Yeah.
And obviously I've had Kenny on the channel, and he's a guru. So you've linked up with some dang good ones there, and now we want to steal from you. So we're going to link up with you. So you're going to share your two favorite hang your hat on RPOs, and I'm going to be quiet and let you teach because I'm excited. I reached out to you on Twitter or X, and you were nice enough to respond, and I really liked what you were saying on there. So I'm wanting to learn, brother.
Well, I appreciate it. Well, we'll kind of just talk through them here at the beginning. So, people that for whatever reason don't know what RPOs are, right? Just the run pass option. I'm sure just about everybody does. And I've got to work with some coaches who do an exceptional job. Kenny's one, right? Kenny's entire gun tee offense is just the RPO connected to the wing tee, right? And that's just how he's so that's I got started there, and I worked with some guys over here in Northeast Oklahoma, some of the Bixby staff, and their freshman OC and I became good buddies because we had to coach against each other. I was up at Owasso as a freshman defensive coordinator, and so off season last year we just got to talking, and we ended up going to the same school and working together over at Bristow, Oklahoma. He followed a friend of his over there that became the head coach, and that just I kind of got to delve in and ask a lot more questions, but it just connected it with the base knowledge I already had. And so, we use that RPO. We really call it just protecting our base. And so, essentially, we use a lot of formations to gain numbers advantage, but you never know with these hybrid players on defense exactly what they're going to try to do to you. So, whether it's pressure, just trying to add numbers somewhere, late shifts, and stunts, and also there's all kind of stuff going on. People are getting very creative about how to stop the run game, and in high school ball, we all know that that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to run the ball. There's not a lot of just air it out type coaching going on around our parts. Um, and so we've kind of had to find a way to lighten that box to keep people from stacking the box and taking everything away from us. And so we started running RPOs, and we rest our hat or hang our hat on the first one was just the bubble, right? A common bubble RPO. A lot of you guys have probably heard of it before, but we run the bubble every play. If it's a run play, there's a bubble being ran unless we tag something else. And we allow our quarterbacks to call the RPO so they can look out and see what they're getting. So it makes our RPO system a little bit deeper. We may have 6 or 8 of them that the quarterback can call at any time, but we can almost always throw that bubble or call it, right? Because I want to throw the bubble, but if they take it away, that means they've lightened the box, and now I want to run the ball. So it becomes kind of a win-win for us. If they don't want to cover it, we're going to throw it and get out in space and give it to an athlete and run all over people. If they do cover it, that's a force player off the backside, and now my inside zone, outside zone, a lot of my counter stuff, it just starts working a lot better. So I'm gonna share my screen here, and we'll kind of walk through bubble. I gotta find it on here. Let's see. Yeah, I'll just share this actual screen. So there we go. So you should be able to see my Canva presentation here. If you're not using Canva, you ought to be. It's free for teachers. So you should get in on that while you can. Yeah, so here's our bubble play. And so this is just you notice I don't even have the offensive line run anything here because it doesn't matter. Okay, this is out of the gun. You can run out of pistol. You can run out of empty. We do all of those things. So it doesn't really matter what you want to run. You can run the bubble RPO to the backside or the front side of it. See here, we have it drawn up both sides. If we're true 2x2 in the run game, we're going to be bubbling both sides. The quarterback's not reading both. He can pre-snap, read, which side he thinks is going to get him the better fit or the better look. And then every true read, though, is post-snap. So there's not going to be a pre-snap I have to throw, but it will just give him an idea which side he needs to watch. This is pretty effective for us because we are a pistol team mainly, So we're obviously going to read the backside because our quarterback's going to flip his hips. He's going to turn his butt to the direction of the play. So we get a counter out of every single run play. So he's going to read that backside. But if he wants to be gun and run any kind of duo or something more downhill where he can still read both sides, we'll let him read front side. So here you can see at the bottom, which says, the quarterback's going to read the force. So in this view, if we say we're going to read backside, we're going to read this force player wherever he is. At a 2x2, we generally get apex players. If not, maybe it's a excuse me, a 4-2-5. This guy's walked down. Well, now my safety is the force player, and he's way back there, unless they've got him walked down. And then you start getting into these if thens, and that's where these RPOs can go kind of crazy. But this is pretty generally what we get. If you're looking at a cover three base high school football defense, you're going to get a lot of this alignment with those outside guys. You can just kind of read them. The simple way to put it is if that guy plays the run, you throw the bubble. If he plays the bubble, you hand it off. But we've got some other coaching points. We'll tell the quarterback if he's got an alignment like this, as you can see on the left side, the back side of this run play, we're probably going to sling that ball out there to the S because that back is apexed, which means he's trying to do two things at the same time, and we're going to make him wrong. That X is going to block the most dangerous man. So if it's that corner that's walked down, great. If the corner's backed off and this is a true cover three look, and he's 7x2 inside, trying to just take away deep routes, that X may end up blocking this outside backer. He's going to block whoever has the biggest threat once the ball's in the air. We talk all the time. It's a culture thing for us that we're going to own the sideline. The sideline is ours. So everything outside the hash, truly outside the numbers, that's where we're going to reign supreme. We're not going to let you come out there and beat us in numbers. We're going to be aggressive blockers. We're going to run aggressive routes out there. We truly want to stay outside with these bubbles, and I'll show a little film in a little bit, and it doesn't always go the way we want. Sometimes bad throws, lazy routes. Defenders play it way faster than we think, but we make things happen anyways. And then, if he gets head up and we don't have leverage, then we start reading his toes. Essentially, if his toes are pointed in, he's probably run first. So we start thinking, we anticipate, right? Kind of priming ourselves to pull that and wing it out there. But what we're reading is basically his first step. If he takes one step inside, he's not going to beat us to the bubble. So if this guy, see if I can just go into edit mode here. So if I get him head up and he steps inside, he's never going to get out there and beat us on that bubble. So we're going to wing it out there. Okay. If he decides to stay with the bubble, then we will run the ball. And then we have one other little piece we like to do here, and we like to freeze this. And so we'll freeze him in place. If we're trying to run it, and maybe we've got this guy and a safety, and they're looking bubble so they can send an extra blitzer or something because now they know this isn't a deep route, then we'll just freeze that route. He'll just pause for 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, and he'll go on his bubble route. So we can kind of add another little piece to the puzzle for us. But that's the basis of our bubble there. Once again, bubble connects to every single football play. You can run it front side, you can run it back side. And we're just using it to keep that outside force player from fitting in the box. If it can be very helpful, especially you get 4-2-5 teams that safety is already deep, then it works for us. Or if he wants to try to roll down and play in the box, it just gives us an advantage when we want to eliminate numbers. It doesn't have to be out of 10 personnel. If we want to walk in being 11, you can even, we've got some sets that we'll run 12 personnel quite a bit. The bubble doesn't go away. Now, you might not see it here. All right, so I can take that away. Maybe we run it with someone else. So maybe we can run bubble with our T. So we'll go here and put him in motion pre-snap, but we're still reading it the same way. So maybe I've got quarterback GH counter to the left here. I'm still going to have a bubble to the front side, and I can use a bubble mechanics with my tailback onto the back side. So once again, just another way to run bubble. But for our kids, it stays super, super simple. It's the same rules for the quarterback. The T just know he's on a flare route. It might come, it might not. And then we can teach these guys just to do whatever their blocking is. The second one, this is one of my favorites because it answers the question when we get people that want to go too high. We see a lot of 3-4 too high defenses around here. People almost playing that like 5-2. They're going to walk these backers down and send them off the edge, and you'll never know which one's going to blitz, which one's going to bail. Especially getting to 10 personnel, 11 personnel, you kind of just get some weird alignments. So we will run the bubble to both sides, same as we would before. Excuse me. We'll run the bubble to the backside, but we also want to call what we call star. Okay, so we get a press corner. Well, it's kind of hard for my X to get a good block on him and block this outside backer if he comes running. Okay, so if I was going to run bubble here, my S is going to be facing a 2-on-1 situation where he's got one blocker and there's two and maybe three defenders coming just because they have us outnumbered. So we put in what we call star concept, and it just means we're going to sit down at about 5 yards. We're going to get a vertical by the X so it carries the corner so he cannot come in and play this hitch. If it's cover two, he still is going to stay outside of that vert. So he's less likely to fall into the hitch. The safety, if it's cover three, he's going to go deep. If it's some kind of read two, he's setting really deep reading. We just catch him in kind of a catch 22. If it is cover two, he's got to stay over the top of the vert by the X. So really what we're aiming for is this area right here, right where that outside backer is right now. So that's why the outside backer is in red here, because we're going to read him. Essentially, if he wants to come and bring pressure, we know we've got us a hitch right now. Generally, this is a big pickup for us because people are having to react to this vertical ball. If he wants to sit out here in the flats, hey, that's fine with us. You've lightened the box once again. You're already in a 3-4. Okay, so you've only got 7 guys in the box. Now you've eliminated one more from the box. So now we're going to have a 6-man or lighter box, and we're going to just run the ball. And so that's, star is our answer to when people want to press up that corner. And the best part is, even if you're disguising, if you're pressing him to play two, if you're pressing him to run cover three, maybe it's not man, whatever version it is, it doesn't matter to us. Our vert's going to take care of whatever you're trying to do, that outside guy, and we're just going to hitch up the inside and be able to throw it. Once again, all of that gets taken away. They end up playing 2-man even. So now they've got all this stuff out here locked down with a guy sitting high over the top. We're just going to hand the ball off. That doesn't hurt us at all. That's the best part about the RPOs. It always just comes right back to, we can hand off the ball. We'll get into a little bit of film here and see if I can find the exact look I was wanting to get. Well, I had this organized. I must have pushed a button and disorganized it, but that's okay. We can still make it work. Let's just dig in here. We'll find us one. All right, so just a simple bubble here. Okay, so you're gonna watch.
Can you make the screen bigger?
I can. How's that?
Yep.
All right. You can watch. So we've got our corner is off. Okay, so like I told you, we're gonna let our quarterbacks. He's gonna tell these guys what to run pre-snap. We don't call RPOs from the sidelines generally. Now, if you've got a guy that just can't look out there and read, then maybe don't run the RPO, or you can call it either one. But our corner's off. I think this team gave us a true cover four, so we knew all night long like these outside flats were going to be pretty open. And so this gives us the ability, if we can get this block and this guy moving, this is a lot of ground for him to cover. And it also gives us angles. So if one of these guys shoots the wrong angle, maybe we're bouncing outside, maybe we can cut it back underneath. I'm going to forewarn you, not all of our throws are great. We're struggling developing some quarterbacks this year. They came out of a flexbone system into this. And so, there is the opportunity here. We're going to see some bad throws, bad catches, but I'm sure we'll make it work overall. So here you can see, just got to make one man miss. Notice this ran inside. So we know we've got a pull call. He's going to go most dangerous. It's almost like zone blocking in basketball. Okay, he's just going to step up and kind of let people come to him, understanding that he needs to be working outside. So we can watch here who he thinks is most dangerous. He picked that guy. Was it the right read? Maybe not. Maybe if he works across his face to this guy, we can pick up two. But we make one cat miss and we're off to the races here. Okay. Once again, we're just, as long as we can get 3 or 4 yards, we still have that old school running game mentality. 3 yards in a cloud of dust is fine. But we want to throw the bubble right now because we know it's going to open up more stuff later. Okay. So
Who was he reading on this one?
So my quarterback is reading this outside backer right here. So we talked
Okay.
about that 3-4 we get. Okay, but a lot of people turn it into like a 5-2. So we got
Right.
there's our 3, there's our 4, but they are super walk down. They want to blitz some and they want to drop some, and you never know which way it's going to go. And so that's we read this guy. So if he blitzes, we know we got a throw call.
And if he would have dropped, we just would have handed it off.
Yep. If he just wants to sit back, well, that's fine. Now we're running the ball right at him anyway. So we've taken him. You can see the play here. I believe is GH counter. It is.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So he already is a guy that we're not really counting in our pass game. We're going to kick this cat. We're going to wrap to this guy. We're going to down everybody over there behind the wall. So he's the uncontrollable there. So now we're going to make him a read. So we're going to take care of one more guy in the box and just wing it out there. We'll see what else we find. Oh, it's going to go through all the different views there. Oh, that's not what I wanted. That's okay. Um. All right. So we talked about this. This is a really long throw for my high school quarterback. Okay, but it's a front side RPO. So here we've got GH counter, but we're running it to the front side now. Okay, so we've got our actual swabber is on this. He's starting on the same side that he's going to, and now we're just going to run the bubble outside. Undo that. Big old long throw. Maybe not the best read, but once again we just want to. If our quarterback can throw a completion, we're okay with it. This was our younger quarterback of the group. Once again, we blocked the most dangerous outside. If we can catch this, we want to be moving outwards when it's thrown. That way we can catch it and get to the sideline. So kind of a lazy route here. We talked about it, right? Sometimes you're going to get lazy route. See his feet are dead, but then the ball's just not out there either. So he kind of makes a correction and does what he can. But we've still made the kid wrong. Notice, and this is what we start looking for throughout the season for game planning. Okay. This guy's sitting nice and patiently, and then watch him trigger on this out route. Well, that just tells us that he's not going to come fit in the run game. So if I can run a bubble next, and now we run something else in here, once again, we've kind of got him at the tiger by the toe, if you will. Same thing. Let's get a larger screen here. Okay, so the same deal on the bubble here. This time we are running power. Okay, so we're going to run power to the front side. This is a backside RPO with the bubble. And you can see how they're aligned. Same thing. Here's that basically a 5-2. They're calling it a 3-4 around here, but we've got those outside backers walked up. Excuse me. Now, you can see this isn't truly a blitz off the edge, but he does come in and then he wants to sit and thinks he's going to read and play. Okay. But like we said, if his alignment or if we don't have the advantage because of where he's aligned or maybe how they're playing it that week, we just want that one step inside so we can get a step on them. Now, listen, we've played some freaks that can make us wrong here. This wasn't one of them, right? So we sent it out there and now he's outran. Because of this alignment, because we're into the boundary, they got a few extra hats to the ball game, so we don't get a ton of yardage. Okay, it could be more successful, but you never know. And this is kind of every like O-line coach's nightmare is like, oh, we had something big time wrapped up, blocked up to the front side, and then we end up throwing it out backside. This is a really good running back, and this is a really pretty well blocked power. Probably could have gone for more yards than this throw, but that's okay because it's all just a setup game anyways. Okay, so we're just using this to set up stuff later. Eventually, this kid is going to be tired of being man in the middle, and he's either going to start blitzing or start setting outside and just making these reads even easier.
How much of a true mesh is that right there?
Yeah, so he's
Is he just making a quick decision and getting it out?
yeah, he's making quick decisions. So every single ball can be a handoff, and we have to practice it a lot. We had some scenarios where it went wrong this year. We had a few bobbled balls. I don't think we had any fumbles, true fumbles, or any turnovers based on our meshes. We tried some more pretty exotic stuff and had some stuff go wrong. But out of this, I mean, it's a pretty solid. Once they learn how to work together, the mesh is pretty solid, and we don't have too many troubles. We'll try to get into There's just one more version of it, and then I'll see if I can find some tailback mesh. Okay, so our general rule is the bubble is ran by the inside most receiver. In this case, it wasn't a kid that gave us an advantage in personnel, and so we can tag it to bump it out here to the number 2 guy. So this is like one of our better athletes on the team. We want the rock in his hand, so we're just going to find a way to make it happen. So notice here, our read goes on a blitz, so we know we're throwing the bubble. Okay, this guy's got to react. We're going to block most dangerous. Should have got a block here, okay, because of our rules. This is the guy he's got to beat, and he's 11 yards, 12 yards away. He fires, and he fires outside, so it just so happens to work this time that cutting it back in. Once again, the short ball, it was kind of a Achilles heel for us a little bit this year on these concepts. But just get the ball in an athlete's hand, give him some space, and he just kind of weaves through. I think we get 8 or 9 yards off this play. Looks like the ref gave us a favorable spot and gave us 9. All right, give me just a second. Let me see if I can find our other tag here. Nope. Well, sorry, man. Let me give me just a second. I had it separated out and it messed up on me. But
Can you run that one back?
oh,
It's all right if you got past it.
okay, yeah. I think I lost it. We'll try to find it here in just a moment. All right, so here's some of our special stuff we like to do, taking some influence, some kind of the go offense, right? So you can see we got a ton of people back there. I mean, we got a line of 5 and a line of 4, and we're gonna make your kids figure out what they want to do with it. And here, what we end up doing is it's just a simple RPO for us. Uh-oh. Um, so we move him down into like our outside zone position, so it looks like we're gonna hand it off. Okay, and then we're just running the bubble. So nothing too big, but the rules are the same. So we're looking for the force guy. What does he do? We've got just a standard run play. What I think in this one it's outside zone to the right. Okay, so we've got standard read play or zone play going to the right, and then we're going to have a little bubble mechanism of some kind. In this case, we also get a lead blocker out of the deal. Okay, so you can see there. So it's just the same thing as a bubble read. Doesn't change anything for us. We're just going to get the ball into an athlete's hand, get him out in space. Like I said, because of their alignment, because they have to. This is one of the better backs in the league. They're all stacked in there nice and tight. So we know we can get most dangerous block here. Go up and block, and now we're gonna see if you can get outside zone read this way with all of these bodies moving this way. If any of these kids can come out here and beat a block and make a tackle, and as you've already seen, it generally just doesn't happen. So we like to run the ball like that. We like to get the ball into the running back's hands. That is a terrible play. I don't even want you to see it. I wish it wouldn't even popped up on there. I think this is when we motion to it. No, there's another bad one. All right, so let's look at star before we look at every terrible play I have in the playbook or on film. All right, so he's going to drop this one. In fact, I don't have a video of Star completed right now that's tagged. We're still kind of tagging through our library as the off season rolls on. But as you can see here, okay, we've get a corner they've been playing man on us. This time he's off a little bit. He's playing kind of a catch technique. Okay, but then the next guy inside is a safety that's been bailing all night. Okay, so we expect to get some version of this, expecting that outside to open up. Notice it's 2 over 2 out here. We don't even have an outside backer to read. Okay,
So who would
so
you read in that situation?
yep. So we read the space. So if there's no one there, we're just reading to make sure that like nobody shows up. We're looking to make sure color doesn't flash into the gap. As you can see, color doesn't ever show up. You know, he can have his eyes on that defensive end to make sure he isn't going to step up. Whatever the game film in your game planning says to do that week. I believe this is their outside backer standing in here. They ran some type of weird mug front where they wanted to run. They got a 3-4 look on, okay, but then they just walked their outside backers into the B gaps, and then they walked their two high safeties down. And this was kind of their mug front. So once we got him pinned inside, well, now he's definitely not going to go play the hitch. So we get our star. Hey, we get the vert, kind of a lazy route. Would like to see him running a little more. I want him to turn these shoulders and turn these hips. As it is, we still have the first down if he catches it. Right, we're going to catch it for 6 or 7 yards. The kid just drops the ball. We got another version of it here. Yeah, so here we go. Same thing. So we're running GH counter over here to the left, and we're gonna get the same rate. Now this is an absolutely terrible ball. The quarterback said it just kind of got loose on him. Okay, but as you can see, once again, there's nobody out here to stop this hitch. The best they have is this guy that's trying to break out of a back pedal. And if this route's a little bit faster, you probably pull him too. Now they're running man on us. They started just going man, which was fine. It did take our bubble away, right? Man will take that bubble away, but that's why you have to have these other answers for it as well. So if we get the ball down, we got a pretty good catch there. Turn to the outside and go. You've already turned his hips. His hips are already facing in. He's going to have to run across the face of a blocker. We likely have a pretty good ball, a pretty good game, but he overthrows it. I think that is all of the film I have for Star right now, Coach. Um, and I thought I had some more.
Did you see any even front?
Man, we almost don't anymore, and
Okay.
it's just kind of the what people are doing here nowadays. It's this here you see it again, right? It's this is almost an even front, but that's an outside backer stood up out there.
Mhm.
But we're getting this 3-4, 5-2 look just about all the time, and it's because offenses are getting a little more. They're starting to throw the ball just a little bit more downfield. And so that's kind of what coaches are doing. Oh, here's another version of so this is once again just a bubble read, but now we're going to put it in, what everybody's going to call an orbit motion or whatever you want to call that. But we keep our rules the same. Okay. So we can come in and block most dangerous. We still have a run game to the backside, and then we can have the bubble read to the front. Of course, there's not an outside backer out there, so he's going to pull it and let it ride. Let an athlete go make some yardage. So yeah, man, that's kind of how we're doing it. The bubble is the beginning of everything there. See if I can. Maybe. I don't know how to there we go. Did I stop sharing? I think I stopped sharing.
No, you're still sharing.
Still sharing. Well, I forgot how to use
It's fine. I'll edit this part out. There you
okay.
go.
Good now? All right.
Yeah,
So
man.
yeah, so for bubble, that's kind of how we're doing it and you see where star shows up too. Um Once again, all of that is just to protect our run plays. It's not, we want to throw that bubble because we're going to make your kids defend, every inch of the field. It kind of comes out of the air raid system, that Mike Leach, Lincoln Riley style offense. The guy's offense that I run is the OC, Tyler Schneider. He's over at Bixby High School. And, I have to give all credit to him. He's the one that's he's taken all of his influences and made it. I've took him as an influence and have kind of made it to be my own, but he really is the one that put all this stuff together. And then working with Cameron Palmer this last year at Bristow running that system, you can see there how we took a team been flexbone and made them relevant again. We increased scoring this year, basing out of this RPO system. We're running GT, GH counter, some power, a A little bit of zone and jet sweep, but mainly these RPOs, and we increased scoring by 47% last year from the year before. So a 50% increase is pretty golden in my books when you're on the offensive side. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
no, I like it. I like the concept. Give me an idea when you tag the RPO, or is it always going to be some RPO tagged?
yeah. Every run play's got an RPO to it. We're
Okay.
not we're giving that quarterback. You know, it kind of goes back to the if you listen to old school quarterbacks, they all talk about every pass concept should have an alert or a hot route, right? I mean, if we're going to get a blitz, it's kind of the same thing. That's what we're doing too. Hey, we're going to call 12 personnel GH counter, and if they overload it down there and they're going to take counter away, we have to have an out. So it just gives us the option to call two plays in one every single time. And like I said, you teach that quarterback up to he's the one that actually picks what RPO gets ran every play. And so it allows him to just know where the ball should go. He's going to decide which guy to read, and it just lets him protect the base plays a little bit more.
All right. So typically, when we call an RPO, that ball's coming out 90% of the time. We do have quick screens attached to all the runs, and they don't ever throw those. But
Right.
if we call an RPO, that cat's going to pull and throw the RPO almost every time, regardless. So does having it on there every time fix some of that,
Yeah,
or
100%.
does everyone have the same problem with quarterbacks? As soon as they hear RPO, they throw it.
It depends on which game you're in, man. We had games this year that we couldn't get the quarterback to quit pulling it, and honestly, we're not going to get onto him for it, right? If we have a call from the sideline, we can tag to get rid of the RPO altogether. So that way, if we want him to hand off the ball,
Hmm.
we can talk about it pre-snap. We can talk about it going into quarter or a half, or a timeout, or we can tag it and we can say, hey, we're going to scratch at this play.
No read, yeah.
But we've had games where they wanted to pull it and throw it, and it's one of those things. The head coach might call up in box, be like, "Hey, quit throwing them stinking RPOs." Okay, fine, we'll fix it. And we've had games where they are loading the box down, and we just can't quite get him to pull it and throw it. So we kind of have both
Mhm.
issues depending on that night, how the quarterback's feeling, how fast he's reading, his confidence level with that week's game plan. You play a super dominant defense, they bat one of those down, or he throws a slant out there and they crush his inside wide receiver and he comes over to the huddles like you better not do that again. He can lose his confidence, but I think having it there every time prevents that what you just said. Like every time I tag one, it's getting thrown. Kenny Simpson, he taught me that you have some RPOs that you want thrown and you have some that you want to hand the ball off. And so you have to have that conversation with your quarterback pregame or throughout the week at practice. Hey, if we call this bubble, we want to throw the bubble. So if they give you the slightest chance to sneak it out there, do it because maybe their box is really stout. They're really good in the run game, and then you may have some star or peak or some of these other ones that we like to run. You may be like, hey, this is just take a glance route for an example, right? Glance being just a deep post RPO. I'm only wanting that thrown if that post safety or the safety of that deep side comes running down in a blitz call, right? Otherwise, hand it off. I don't want you throwing the ball 21 yards down the field on an RPO. But if they're going to evacuate the entire field back there, by all means, you better chunk it. So we'll have those conversations throughout the week and just let him know
We
what we're
call those
thinking.
$1,000 throws. If you're
That's
willing
right.
to bet $1,000, go ahead and throw it.
That's right. Absolutely, coach. That's a great
Well,
way to put it.
you did fantastic, man, and I really do like the bubble concept.